This is a 14x7 floor tom off a Thai Go kit. This week, I'm going to turn it into a snare drum. Hey guys, my name's Phil. Welcome to Tuesday at noon once again. We have survived the planet spinning on its axis again and all that fun stuff that I keep saying that really doesn't make much sense to anybody but this guy. So this week, my friend James approached me with an idea. He wanted to turn his Thai Go kit into a bunch of snare drums. The main difference between a tom and a snare drum is the snare bed, which is what I'm going to be adding to this kit. Other than that, you need, obviously a much thinner head on the bottom side, the snare side head, and a set of wires and a throw and a butt. When it comes to the actual shell itself, the only real difference is the snare bed. If your snare beds aren't wide enough, the snare wires won't sit flat and they will move differently, depending on where the wires are in contact with the shell. Before I head out into the workshop to actually add these snare beds, I gotta take all the hardware off, I gotta take the heads off, I gotta take this thing apart. So while I'm doing that, I will tell you a little bit about my health stuff. I'm doing all right, man. It's getting much hotter, which is making it much more difficult to get out there and go for a run unless I wake up at 5 in the morning to do it. So I haven't been running as much as I normally would, but I've been doing a lot more of the exercisey stuff around the house. That's where I'm at with that. Anyway, off to the workshop. So a little while ago on my workbench, I was cutting out some end plates to make a new shell, and I made a little mistake. I dug into the side of it, but this has ended up to be the handiest mistake I've ever made. When I'm laying out snare beds, I can just put them straight into here, and with it lined up on the center line, I can then mark out where it needs to be. I'm going to go with the numbers that say 42, even though that's not anything in particular. And these marks are where I want the flat spot of my snare beds to be. Now, I should say, I had to put these floor tom brackets back on because of a bit of a real estate issue. It'll be a bit of a snug fit there, but it will work in theory. There are many different ways to cut out your snare beds. How I started out doing it originally was to just mark out the depth that I wanted and then just take a file and cut it by hand. And it would take forever and it wouldn't always be exactly flat. But by all means, if you got the patience and the time to do it right, this is probably the most accurate way to do it. What I like to do now is throw it on the router table with a flat bit on it and get my depth that way, and then just use the file to kind of smooth out the edges. It's a very old school kind of way of doing it, really, because you end up with a flat one and then it's fairly shallow, the angle's going back in. But not necessarily, you can widen that out as well. Actually, I probably should have said, if you're going to do anything like that, you're going to touch anything, make sure the power's off. That thing will cut your fingers off quickly. Actually, it's worse than that, it'll probably make finger soup. Oops, I just cut to the wrong line. We're gonna have really wide snare beds. Okay, so, I know it looks pretty haggard right now. With a bunch of filing, we'll get it all cleaned up. So earlier I was talking about real estate around the floor tom bracket, the butt end. Ended up having to be a bit snug, a bit lower than I would have liked, but that's about as close as I could get it. Should be fine. Last week I did, well, and the week before that, I did all that huira stuff. And in doing those, I watched a lot of Latin music. Cuban music in particular has this fill a lot. Most cha-chas have this fill in there somewhere. The fill is so ubiquitous to cha-cha music that it actually has a name as abanico, and I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. It is literally just a rim shot, 9-stroke roll, rim shot, and the second rim shot is on beat 1. Yeah, so here's Bobby Sanabria playing it. Oh, you idiot. It's not a snare side hoop. How funny is that? We were in a rush to get this thing done and we didn't think it all the way through. We have no snare side hoop. For the sake of being ridiculous, I'm going to continue this on my Instagram feed. When this is done, I will post a little video of it there. As funny as this is, I should say a huge thanks to Katie at Tie Drums. She's been very helpful with all of these random things that I keep doing to James's tie kit, and she keeps sending me whatever parts I need, no questions asked, just here you go. I mean, I pay for them, obviously. All these parts they keep sending me are fantastic. They're so well thought through. I love that in a company. So I guess that's it for now. If you like what I'm doing, share and like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely subscribe to the channel now that there's that ridiculous 1,000 sub mark that must be reached. You know, I'm not gonna get into that any further, but yeah, now that that's a thing, I need all the subs and watch time I can get. So share this video with everybody you know. Watch everything through to the end. Start up this playlist, this 64-bit piece playlist in the morning with the sound off and go to work. Don't do that. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. What the hell, do it. Don't do it. Yeah, that's all. I hope you guys have a killer week, and I'll get to this when I can.